Father-son weekend is both heartbreaking and glorious, and it kind of feels like the original earlier seasons of the Doris Day Show. This is the 25th episode of the third season, and interestingly, I think this is the only episode, so far at least, where Toby appears without Billy. And Toby is actually on the phone at the beginning of the episode, and he's trying to borrow a father. And it kind of really hits home in this episode that he doesn't have a father, and it's not something that comes up that often. So when it does, it's really emotional. And Doris clearly sees that Toby is upset that he's not able to go to this father-son camping trip. He's finally old enough to take part in it, and he doesn't have a father. So initially Doris suggests calling Buck, but she remembers Buck has actually gone away for the weekend. So she decides that she's going to take him instead. Now, I don't necessarily agree that she should have done that, because if the event is for fathers and sons, then maybe it's not fair that she kind of invited herself. But at the same time, I think she had the right intentions. She obviously wanted to do this for Toby, and some of the fathers there are not necessarily happy to let her join in, but they realise that it's for Toby's benefit. And she gets to go, and the majority of the episode is set on this camping trip. And it's so sweet. It does feel so much like the earlier seasons of the Doris Day Show. Not that I don't like the more recent seasons, but I feel like the earlier ones where we see Doris bonding with her children more, I love those episodes. And this is obviously what we get, and we see them in the rain and having a cookout, and Doris is really in her element, and it's really beautiful to see. It's not the most action-packed, but it is very sweet. It's an episode that was really heartwarming, really beautiful to watch. Toby was an absolute delight in this, of course, and Doris was as fabulous as always, of course. Very atmospheric, really got the sense of being on the camping trip, very outdoorsy, and it's a beautiful episode. As I said, it isn't the most action-packed. It doesn't have as many twists and turns as some other episodes, but it's really pleasant. It's a really pleasant film, really thoroughly enjoyable, very sweet, and one of my favourite moments, and it kind of made me a little emotional. So this is a spoiler for something that happens towards the end. I have nothing else to say that isn't a spoiler. Thoroughly recommend the episode. So towards the end of the episode, there's a competition, and Toby and Doris win, and he hugs her and says, "Thanks, Dad." Not accidentally, it's something that he clearly meant to say. And I think it really helped to reinforce the fact that while he doesn't have a father figure, Doris does take on the role of both parents. And she does I'm sure most people will agree, she does a really brilliant job of that. And it was just a really beautiful moment, and Toby was so happy, and it was just absolutely fabulous. So I really enjoyed this episode. Very sweet. Definitely feels like one of the earlier episodes. The father-son weekend is really delightful.